Stop. Do not move past this. Do not let your finger touch anything else right now, because what is happening in this moment is not what it looks like from the outside. From the outside, it looks like you stumbled across a video. From the inside, from where I am standing, from the place where eternity watches time, what just happened is something else entirely. You did not find this. This found you. And the difference between those two things is the difference between coincidence and destiny, and I do not deal in coincidences. Before you were seated where you are right now, before this day began, before the sun rose over the part of the earth where you are living, I had already arranged for these words to reach you at this precise moment. Not an hour earlier, not tomorrow, now, this second. Because there is something I have been waiting to tell you. Something I wrote down long before your name existed in any language spoken on this earth. And the time for you to hear it has arrived. My child, listen to me with the deepest place of your soul. Not with your mind, not with your logic, not with the part of you that has been hurt before and learned to protect itself from disappointment. Listen with the place underneath all of that, the quiet place, the place that still remembers, even after everything, that I am real. That place knows my voice. That place has been waiting for this moment longer than you realize. I wrote your name. Before there was a world to write it in, before there was ink or stone or sky or sea, I held your name inside my own heart and I wrote it. Not as a name on a list, not as a number in a record. I wrote it with intention. I wrote it with purpose. I wrote it with love so complete it would take every human word ever spoken across every language ever invented and still not be enough to contain it. I wrote your name, and everything that follows from this moment is me showing you what I wrote. You have been walking through this life carrying a question you have never been able to fully put into words. You have tried to name it. You have tried to drown it out with noise and busyness and distraction. You have tried to answer it yourself with accomplishments and relationships and plans that seemed solid until they weren't. But the question has remained, quiet some seasons, loud in others, always present in the background of your heart, always returning in the still hours of the night when there is nothing left to distract you from it. And the question is this: does my life mean anything? Does anyone truly know me? Was I placed here on purpose or simply by accident? Do I matter to someone beyond measure? I am answering you now, yes, 1,000 times yes. Not as a comfort, not as religious sentiment, not as something I say to everyone simply to make them feel better. I am answering you personally, directly, with the full weight of who I am. You matter. You were placed here on purpose. Someone knows you completely. Every hidden thing, every broken piece, every dream you buried because it felt too fragile to survive in the open air. Every fear you have never spoken aloud, every moment of greatness inside you that the world has not yet seen. I know all of it. I wrote all of it, and I wrote it because it was worth writing. My beloved child, I need you to hear this next part slowly, because I am going to take you somewhere most people never go. I am going to show you what I actually wrote when I wrote your name. Not in general terms, not in the broad strokes that apply to everyone. I am going to be specific because you deserve specificity. You have had enough of vague promises and general blessings. I know what your heart actually needs, and your heart needs to know exactly what was written about you before time began. When I wrote your name, the first thing I wrote beside it was this: overcomer. Not someone who would have an easy path, not someone who would never face difficulty, but someone who, when difficulty came, and it would come and it has come, would not be destroyed by it. I wrote overcomer beside your name because I saw every single thing that was coming against you. I saw every attack, every loss, every season of confusion and pain and waiting, and I wrote that word anyway, because I knew you would be standing at the end of every one of those things. And here you are, standing, not broken, not finished, standing. The word I wrote has been proven true. When I wrote your name, the second thing I wrote beside it was this: carrier of light. Not everyone is designed to carry what you carry. Not everyone has been given the kind of inner fire that persists even when the wind tries to extinguish it. But you have been given this. You have always carried something that other people could feel without being able to explain it. There are people in your life who drew strength from you without ever telling you. There are rooms that changed when you walked into them. There are moments when your presence became the reason someone else held on for one more day, and you never even knew it. That is not accident. That is assignment. I wrote it beside your name before you took your first breath. When I wrote your name, the third thing I wrote beside it was this: chosen for such a time as this. Not an era before yours, not a generation ahead of you, this one. The exact moment in human history where you find yourself living right now. The confusion of it, the weight of it, the strangeness of it, the challenges that have never existed in quite this form before. I wrote your name and I wrote this specific time because I knew this specific time would need someone with exactly your combination of wound and wisdom, exactly your capacity for endurance, exactly your particular brand of quietly unbreakable faith. You were not born into the wrong era. You were placed here precisely. If your spirit is beginning to recognize something right now, if something is stirring that feels older than today, if your chest is tightening in a way that is not fear but something more like recognition, type in the comments right now, Amen. Not as a ritual, not as a formality, as an agreement between your soul and what I have just spoken over you. Type it now. Let it be your first act of receiving what was always written about you. My beloved child, I want to stay here with you a little longer, because there is more I wrote, and you need to hear all of it. But first I need to speak to something that has tried to prevent you from receiving this. There is a lie you have been living with, a lie so old and so familiar that you may have mistaken it for the truth by now. And the lie is this: that you are ordinary. I understand how that lie arrived. I understand the sequence of events that made it convincing. I saw the childhood moments where you were overlooked when you deserved to be seen. I saw the relationships where someone who should have recognized your value walked away without realizing what they were leaving behind. I saw the opportunities that seemed to go to others who appeared more qualified, more polished, more certain of themselves, while you stood in the background wondering if you were simply not enough. I saw you compare yourself to people around you and find yourself coming up short by every measurement the world uses. I saw the discouragement accumulate quietly, steadily, until somewhere along the way you stopped expecting to be remarkable and started simply trying to survive. I saw all of it, and I need you to understand that none of it changed what I wrote. Not one event in your life, not one disappointment, not one mistake, not one person's failure to see you clearly, not one closed door, not one season of invisibility changed a single word I wrote beside your name before time began. The lie of ordinariness has been the enemy's most consistent strategy against you, because he read what I wrote before he was cast out, and he has spent your entire life trying to make you forget it. He cannot erase what was written. He can only try to make you stop believing it, and he has been partially successful. I will not pretend otherwise, but that partial success ends now, today, in this moment, because you are here, and I am speaking, and what I speak cannot return to me empty. You are not ordinary. You have never been ordinary. The very nature of what I placed inside you is extraordinary, and I placed it there on purpose, for this time, for this world, for this specific season of human history that needs what only you, with your particular story and your particular wounds and your particular unbreakable core, can offer. The world does not need another perfect person. It already has a standard of perfection in my son. What the world needs is people who have been broken and healed, who have been lost and found, who have cried in the dark and called on my name and risen in the morning with just enough faith to take one more step. That is what you are, and that is irreplaceable. My child, I am also aware that you have tried to understand your purpose, and that the search has been exhausting at times. You have looked for it in careers and in callings and in what other people told you you were good at. You have prayed for clarity and sometimes received silence, and the silence felt like rejection. But purpose is not something you find. Purpose is something you were made of, and I have been revealing it to you piece by piece in the most unexpected places. In the conversation with a stranger that seemed unimportant but stayed with you. In the moment of compassion you extended to someone who was breaking, not because you had figured out how to fix people, but because you knew what it felt like to break. In the creativity that moves through you when you stop trying to produce and simply let what is inside you come out. In the stubborn refusal to give up on people that has cost you more than you can calculate. That is not weakness. That is your assignment wearing the disguise of personality. Now I want to speak over your life with what I call the declarations of the written name. These are not wishes. These are not possibilities. These are things already true in the realm of spirit, waiting to manifest fully in the realm of your experience. And as I speak them, I want you to receive each one not as something you are hoping for, but as something you are agreeing with. Something that was already written. Something you are simply finally hearing read aloud. I declare that your financial story is not finished being written. The chapter you are in right now, the chapter with the numbers that worry you, the chapter with the bills and the uncertainty and the quiet panic you feel when you look too far ahead, that chapter is not the final chapter. When I wrote your name, I wrote abundance beside it. Not the kind that comes with compromise, not the kind that costs you your integrity or your peace or your relationships, but the kind that flows from alignment with purpose. The kind that arrives as a consequence of becoming fully who I created you to be. That abundance is in motion. It has been in motion. The setbacks you have experienced were not evidence that I forgot what I wrote. They were part of the formation process that is preparing you to carry what is coming without being crushed by it or corrupted by it. Abundance is coming. Provision is moving. Money is shifting in your direction from sources you are not currently watching. In the natural, nothing may look like it is changing. In the spirit, the transaction has already taken place. Receive this now. Receive it into your spirit before your eyes can confirm it. I declare that your body belongs to me, and I did not design it for permanent sickness. When I wrote your name, I wrote wholeness beside it. Not the absence of challenges to your health, but the presence of my healing power working in you as a continuous force, not a one-time event. If your body has been under attack, if there is something physical that has stolen your peace, if the doctors have given you news that felt like a verdict, I need you to hear me clearly. Their reports are written in ink. What I wrote is written in something that does not fade. My word over your body is senior to any diagnosis. I am not dismissing the reality of what you're facing. I am standing in that reality with you, and I am declaring that it does not have the final word. Healing has been written beside your name. Wholeness has been written. Strength has been written. Receive this. Let it enter your physical body right now as you read. Not because a feeling confirms it, but because I spoke it. I declare that your relationships, the ones that matter, the ones that have wounded you most deeply precisely because they mattered, are subject to my restoration. When I wrote your name, I wrote beloved beside it. Beloved as a permanent identity. Not a state that depends on whether someone else chooses to stay or to love you well. The love I wrote over you is not contingent on any human being's decision. It is yours unconditionally, permanently, without condition or expiration. But beyond that, I also wrote reconciliation beside your name, where reconciliation is possible. I wrote new depth beside the relationships that have survived and deserve to flourish. I wrote release beside the connections that were never meant to last, because not every person who exits your life is a loss. Some exits are my protection, some goodbyes are my gifts. What remains, what I have preserved, what I am drawing close to you even now, that is what reconciliation and belonging look like in your specific story. Trust the architecture of your relationships to my hand, not to your management. I declare that the dreams inside you that you have called dead are not dead. Dreams do not die when I write them. They go quiet. They become dormant. They go underground in seasons where the environment above the surface cannot support them yet. But underground, in the hidden places where my spirit works without applause or announcement, those dreams have been sending roots deeper. Every year they appeared to be absent. And roots that deep produce trees that last. The dream you buried 5 years ago. The hope you quietly put away because the world did not have space for it. The vision that once burned in you so clearly you could see every detail, that faded to a memory of a feeling. I did not bury it. I preserved it. And I'm writing its awakening into your story right now in this season, in this chapter that looked like the end of everything, but is actually the beginning of what I always intended. Type in the comments right now, I believe, not as a polished declaration of perfect faith. Type it as someone who is choosing, in this moment, to agree with what was written over them before they were born. Type it tired if you are tired. Type it afraid if you are afraid. Type it uncertain if uncertainty is all you have right now. Because the power is not in the confidence with which you type it. The power is in the decision to type it at all, I believe. Do it now. My beloved child, I know there is a part of you that has been holding something. A weight that is not financial, not physical, not relational in any simple sense. A weight that is more personal than any of those things. The weight of feeling like you have failed me. The weight of choices you made in seasons when you knew better and did otherwise. The weight of distance you created between yourself and me, sometimes on purpose, sometimes without fully realizing you were doing it, until one day you looked up and I seemed very far away. I want to address that weight directly now because it is the heaviest thing some of you are carrying, heavier than debt, heavier than sickness, heavier than loneliness. And it is the weight most likely to make you feel like the things I have just spoken are for someone else. Someone cleaner, someone more faithful, someone whose story did not go the way yours did. So hear me. Hear me with everything you have. The distance you felt between yourself and me was never the distance I created. I did not move. I have not moved. I was with you in every season you tried to run from me. I was with you in the decisions you are still ashamed of. I was with you in the silence where my voice seemed absent. I was with you in the exact moment you think proved that you had gone too far. I was there, not as a judge waiting to record your failure, as a father who could not stop watching over his child even when that child stopped looking for him. And I need you to understand something about what was written beside your name regarding your failures. I wrote redeemed. I did not write perfect. I wrote redeemed. Redemption is not the removal of history. Redemption is the transformation of history into something that serves the future. Every wrong turn you have taken, every broken promise, every moment you chose the lesser thing, every season of wandering, I have already begun the work of making those things useful. Not erasing them, using them, because in my hands nothing is wasted. In my hands, the very places where you fell become the ground on which you now stand. And that ground is more solid for having been tested. I wrote redeemed beside your name, and redeemed means your story is not determined by its worst chapters. It is being authored by the one who began it, who knows exactly how it ends, and who was never surprised by any of the pages in between. My child, shame has kept too many of my beloved ones from receiving what was written over them. Shame says you forfeited your name. Shame says what was written no longer applies because of what you did, who you became in a certain season, what you lost, what you destroyed, what you failed to protect. But I say to shame now, in this moment, over this child who is reading these words, you have no authority here. You were not present when I wrote this name. You do not know what I wrote, and you will not be permitted to counterfeit a verdict over someone I have already declared redeemed, whole, and written into the story I am still telling. Shame, release your hold. Now, in the name of my Son, who carried the weight of everything shame has ever accused, who bore it to a place where it can no longer speak with authority over any of my children. It is done. Receive that release right now. Let it move from your mind into your body. Let your shoulders drop. Let your chest open. Let the breath come easier. That is not imagination. That is real. What I speak is real. Now, my beloved child, I want to take you to a place in the Spirit that I do not take everyone. I want to show you something that was also written beside your name, something that is less about your personal life and more about why your personal life matters beyond the borders of your own experience. When I wrote your name, I wrote impact beside it. Not fame, not visibility by the world's definition, not influence measured by audience size or approval rating. I wrote impact. I wrote the kind that moves quietly through the fabric of human experience like a thread sewn through cloth, invisible from the front, essential to the structure from the back. There are people whose lives will be different because of yours, not because of any platform you build or any achievement you accomplish, but because of the specific way you show up in the world as who I made you to be. There is someone who will not give up because they watched you not give up. There is someone who will believe that God is real because they watched you live as though I am real, even in the seasons where it cost you something to do so. There is someone who will find their way back to me because you were kind to them in a moment where kindness was so unexpected it could only be explained by something beyond human motivation. I wrote your impact into the story of other people's lives before either of you were born. The threads are already woven. The connections are already made in the Spirit. You are already part of someone else's miracle without having done anything visible yet, simply by being exactly who you are, living exactly where I placed you at exactly this moment in time. Do not minimize that. Do not stand in front of what I wrote and tell me it cannot be true because you do not yet see evidence of it. Evidence follows the written word. It does not precede it. Walk forward in what was written, and the evidence will arrange itself around you as you move. That is how faith and sight have always worked together in my economy. You walk in what I spoke. The world adjusts to match it, not the other way around, my beloved child. I want to give you something practical to carry out of this message, because faith without corresponding movement is faith that stays entirely in the Spirit and never transforms the earth. Here is what I am asking of you. I am asking you to write down the 3 things from what I wrote beside your name that hit you the deepest. Not the ones that were easiest to receive, the ones that were hardest. The ones that made something inside you want to argue, want to say, but you don't. Know what I did, or, but you don't know how. Long I've been waiting, or, but you don't know how many times I've believed something like this and been disappointed. Write down the 3 that provoked the most resistance, because resistance in your spirit is always a sign that the enemy knows. Those are the truths that will do the most damage to his work in your life if you fully receive them. The areas of greatest resistance are the areas of greatest potential breakthrough. Write them down. Put them somewhere you will see them every single morning for the next 21 days. Read them out loud every day. Not because the repetition creates the reality, but because the repetition trains your mind and emotions to stop fighting what your spirit has already agreed is true. I am also asking you to do something for someone else before today is over. One person. Reach out to one person today with one word of encouragement. It does not need to be elaborate. It does not need to be a sermon. It can be as simple as, I was thinking of you today, and I want you to know you matter. That act of extending what you have received to someone else is the single fastest way to accelerate the manifestation of everything I have spoken over you today, because in my kingdom, what you give away always returns multiplied. The blessing you release over another person comes back to you wearing a different shape, in a form you were not expecting, through a channel you were not watching. Give the word today. Do not overthink it. Your spirit already knows who to reach. Type in the comments right now the name of what you are believing God for today, not the full story. One word or one phrase: healing, provision, restoration, my family, my purpose, my peace, my marriage, my child, My business. Whatever it is, name it publicly in the comments. Because when you name it in the open, when you stop hiding it in the private corners of your prayer life, you are declaring that you are no longer ashamed to be seen believing. You are no longer afraid of the vulnerability of hope. And that declaration, that act of public faith, sends a signal in the spirit realm that causes forces to begin moving that private, quiet, unspoken faith does not activate in the same way. Name it now. Let the record show what you are standing for today. My beloved child, I am drawing this message toward its close, but I am not drawing my attention away from you. I will never draw my attention away from you. That is one of the things that does not stop. My watching over you, my thinking about you, my speaking over you in the Spirit, even in moments when you are not reading words on a screen or sitting in silence to hear me, that never ceases. You are on my mind with a constancy that would astonish you if you could perceive the full weight of it. More than you think about anything, more than the most devoted person in your life has ever thought about you. Continuously, with full knowledge, with full love, with full intention, I want to close by repeating the 3 things I wrote beside your name, not because you did not hear them the first time, but because your spirit needs to hear them 3 times from 3 different angles before they begin the permanent work of replacing what was written over you by pain, by failure, by other people's words, by the enemy's long campaign to make you forget who you are. First, you were not an accident. You were not a miscalculation. You were not someone who slipped through the cracks of an overcrowded universe and happened to end up in this body in this era by chance. You were intended. You were chosen. You were placed. Every detail of who you are was deliberate. The very things you consider your flaws, the places where you feel most unlike what you think a person should be, those things were written into you by a hand that knew exactly what it was doing. Because the world you are called to reach will only be reached by someone who has experienced the specific things you have experienced, who has wrestled with the specific things you have wrestled with, who carries the specific combination of tenderness and toughness that your story has produced in you. You were not an accident. Second, you are not forgotten. In the long seasons where I seemed silent, in the years where your prayers seemed to dissolve into empty air, in the periods where it felt like everyone else was moving forward while you stood still, you were not forgotten. Not for a single heartbeat. The silence was not my absence. The delay was not my abandonment. I was working. I am always working. In the hidden places, in the underground spaces, in the behind-the-scenes architecture of a life that only I can see all of, I was building something that requires exactly the time it has been taking. Because what I am building for you and through you is too important to rush, and I do not rush important things. You are not forgotten. Third, what I wrote will stand. Every word I placed beside your name before you were born is still there. Nothing has erased it. Not your worst failure. Not your longest drought. Not the enemy's most consistent assault. Not the weight of years, or the accumulation of disappointment, or the voice inside you that has said too many times to count that this is simply who you are, and nothing will ever be different. What I wrote stands. It is written in a language that does not have a word for erasure. It is written in a permanence that laughs quietly at the temporary nature of every obstacle that has tried to stand between you and its fulfillment. What I wrote will stand. Receive it, all of it. Let it fill the places in you that have been waiting without knowing what they were waiting for. Let it answer the question that has been running in the background of your life since the day you were old enough to ask it. Let it settle into your bones and your blood and your breath and the way you walk into tomorrow morning. You were written before you were born. What was written was good. What was written was purpose. What was written was love. And what was written is yours. Amen. 1,000 times. Amen. If this message has reached the part of you that needed reaching today, do one thing before you close this. Subscribe to this channel, because what I am releasing through these messages is not random. Each one builds on the last. Each one carries a piece of a larger word that is being spoken over a generation of people who were written before they were born and are just now beginning to remember it. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Turn on the notification. Stay connected. The next message will arrive at exactly the moment you need it, because that is how I work. Not in coincidences, in divine appointments. And your appointment with this channel is not over. Share this with the person whose name is in your heart right now. You know who it is. They need to hear that their name was written too. Be the one who tells them.